My 26 female mom passed away when I was 18. She was a single mom and my only other family was my Aunt Marissa. Marissa refused to take me in or help me because, "You're grown, you can stand on your own 2 feet. Marissa's boyfriend was nice and would help, but Marissa eventually banned him from even giving me dinner leftovers because I needed to grow up instead of expecting handouts. Luckily, my employer at the time helped me get some affordable housing. I struggled for a long time, but I luckily don't have to live paycheck to paycheck anymore. Marissa's family is currently struggling and she reached out to me through a mutual acquaintance. Marissa's boyfriend recently lost his job for a reason I'm not entirely sure about. Marissa stayed home and only did occasional work like baking for friends' parties, so they're seriously struggling now. Marissa asked for just a bit of money or some unused food from my pantry to help keep them afloat. I called Marissa back and told her, "Hey, why are you asking for handouts? You're grown. You can stand on your own 2 feet." Marissa was angry, but I was just as angry back, because she's the one who left me to fend for myself when I was a vulnerable 18-year-old who was barely out of high school and had just lost my mom, and now she wants help. I texted some information for a local food bank and other resources to Marissa's boyfriend, just for him and my cousins, but I didn't even respond to Marissa after the first phone call. Most people agreed with how I reacted to Marissa, but multiple people are telling me I was wrong and punishing the wrong people. Because I know from experience that getting access to those resources can be a lot harder and take a long time, and Marissa's boyfriend and my cousin may need help immediately. These people also told me that by being the bigger person and helping Marissa in her time of need, I could show Marissa how wrong she was and what a huge mistake she'd made. I don't see it that way at all. I feel bad for Marissa's boyfriend and my cousins, but if I help them, it would reward Marissa for refusing to help me during my own hard times. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Sometimes it's better to take the high road and be a better person. This is not one of those times. You gave your aunt the advice she gave you when you were a struggling 18-year-old. How she could do that and sleep at night is beyond me. But you at least gave her the names and contact info of organisations that can help her. That is more than she did for you. You owe this person nothing. Karma bites back. Agreed. Aunt can get a job and stand on her own 2 feet. And while she looks, she can think about what she did. Besides that, OP is 26 and hasn't had an easy start in life. She's not likely to have much in the way of additional resources and would be far better off saving anything extra for her own safety if she needs it in the future, as the aunt wouldn't help her out. To be entirely fair, it feels like the people telling her to take the moral high ground could also chip in. OP, yell these people to pony up the assistance to Marissa. Also, has the aunt ever apologised? If not, invite your boyfriend and cousins to eat at your house on a regular basis. Marissa can find her own food. It would certainly be generous of you to help Marissa out if you can afford to, especially if she has kids who are blameless and suffering from their parents' choices, but you are absolutely not morally obligated to do so. Marissa banned her boyfriend from even giving you dinner leftovers because you needed to grow up instead of expecting handouts? What the actual heck? Even if you decide to take the moral high ground and help for her kids' sake, you need to remind Marissa of her past actions. Don't let her forget. Seriously, you reap what you sow. I'm a 29-year-old female. The players are my mom, stepdad, and 4 step-siblings, 35 male, 37 male, 40 female, 42 male, and their families. I'm the black sheep, the only one not married with kids, but that's my preference. I love living alone. I don't want kids, and having a partner just isn't that important. My family has been asking me when I'm going to get a boyfriend and settle down since I was 19, and the answer has always been, you, never. I was going to skip Thanksgiving, but my mom insisted that she wanted everyone home this year if possible, so I went. It was the usual drill, but the youngest stepbrother and his wife were having another kid, so that was the big announcement. This was fine until around the end of dinner, one of the stepsisters-in-law asked if I was anxious to have kids since I was almost 30 and time was running out. I laughed and said, "Nah, I'm good." That led to one of the stepbrothers saying that every family needs an old maid aunt and some other comments I didn't appreciate. I said, let's move on, but my mom said, we're just worried about you. This is where I'm possibly the idiot. I know all the family dirt, so I said, well, I'm the only person at this table that's not an alcoholic, a cheater, or constantly broke because I have more kids than I can afford, so I'm not the one to worry about. And that's how I brought Thanksgiving to a dead halt. and no one said a thing for the rest of dinner, but my texts are still radioactive. I feel like it was probably riding the line, and my mom says this has caused many problems among the siblings, but they also kind of started it. Not the idiot. Ha ha ha. Excellent. Hands down the best Thanksgiving showstopper ever. They messed around and found out. And I guarantee that nobody will be asking you about your choices anymore. They like to dish it out, but they can't take it. Iconic moment. I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you, OP. Your mom insisted you join them for Thanksgiving. That wasn't your plan or what you wanted, but you were a good soul and agreed. To make you feel welcome and happy to be with your family on a big holiday, your family started with inappropriate comments and digs, putting you on the spot with everyone watching. You asked them to stop, and then the mom, who insisted on family unity, doubled down on the implied criticism. They played an unwanted family game with you and won unwanted prizes. On the upside, you may have a permanent pass from upcoming family gatherings. I take that as a win. Perhaps these events would be more interesting to OP and everyone else if she started the next dinner with, "If I get any hassle, I'll name names for the alcoholic, cheater, and spendthrift. Don't tempt me." Your family simply got back what they dished out. I always thought this was weird and creepy. Boundary stomping aside, constantly asking someone about marriage and children when they're not even in a long-term committed relationship is backward and nonsensical to me. Should she be desperately trying to shack up with any random man because biological clock? Maybe some people don't bother to worry about children and marriage until they find someone worth planning that with first. Exactly. They wanted to make her the scapegoat child and make it look like she's in the wrong just for having different opinions, while it's the step-siblings who do mess up stuff, but it's okay because they have normal lives. OP, keep on calling them on their crap if they keep bothering you. Of course, they give you a lot of crap now, but trust me, that's the only way they'll leave you alone in the long run. I, 36 female, am engaged to a wonderful man, Mike, 41. We both have children from previous relationships. I have a young teen daughter and he has a kindergarten-aged son, Luke. Luke's mom is Mike's ex-wife, Ashley. Mike has had some issues with never telling Ashley no about taking Luke on nights we aren't supposed to have him. He's cancelled dates with me and family trips, etc., because Ashley asks him to take Luke with some frequency out of the blue. He used to be much worse about it, but he's gotten better and has only been asked as a last resort. Well, this past Friday, Ashley called us to ask us to babysit because she had concert tickets for Saturday night. Mike had to work, so he couldn't, and then it turned to me. I'd already planned to have a mom-daughter date with my daughter that evening, so I reserved us mani-pedis and a nice dinner. These mom-daughter dates are important to my daughter and me since she's going through the mess that is puberty. I told Ashley I had other plans. I figured she has enough family, friends and money, she alone makes the same amount Mike and I make, not counting the child support he pays, to figure something out on her own. I was wrong. Saturday came and she was in a tizzy, blowing up Mike and my phone, begging us to take Luke that night. I stood firm and told her no, and that my time with my daughter was more important to me than her going to some concert. I silenced my phone and took my daughter on our date. We had a wonderful time and had a fantastic dinner. We come home to find Mike royally angry with me. Ashley, her friends and her family had spent all evening calling him, yelling at him, telling him how unreasonable and how much of a witch I was for not watching Luke and that I was going to be a bad stepmom since I didn't care to watch him. Then the custody threats started, how they'll take away Mike's weekends with Luke, etc. And he couldn't reach me since I'd silenced my phone. It's calmed down a little since then, but now Ashley is demanding I refund her the $300 she spent on her ticket since she couldn't go since I refused to watch Luke that night. So Mike and I have been saving money to take my daughter and Luke on a trip next year. Mike is just telling me to give her money from it and avoid the fight, but I don't want to. If we give in to these demands, she will continue these behaviours and use us. Am I the idiot for not watching Luke on Saturday, and would I be the idiot if I don't give her the money she lost? Why are you marrying him if this is how he treats you? Not the idiot for not watching Luke, and especially not for paying the ex $300. That's just a mad, crazy level of entitlement. But are you sure you want to marry such a cowardly man who lashes out at you because he's too spineless to stand up to his ex? Didn't you read she's engaged to a wonderful man? Unfortunately, some people see a train coming at full speed and still decide to step on the tracks, I guess. Not having a backbone is bad enough, But to be royally angry at someone for something they're not responsible for, talk about entitlement. OP, this man needs a lot of work before committing to him. Think about how he treats you now and then imagine how he'll treat you and your daughter once you're married. It will be a huge issue for your daughter once you're all living together and he's acting selfish and entitled with your time. Shouldn't she have had care lined up if she spent that much on tickets? Again, multiple options, even like hiring a babysitter. If she tries to take custody away from Mike over this, he will get more custody when the judge gets annoyed about wasting their time on her trifling BS. Absolutely. Take screenshots of the texts that were sent and take this to court. She's trying to manipulate and blackmail you. Tell her to respectfully screw off and that she should have had a plan before buying the tickets. And ask every family member and friend why didn't they take him? Or whatever they were doing is more important than your daughter. You should take your fiancé in for a legal consultation because the way everyone is acting makes me believe that he probably thinks the child could be taken from him. They probably made him believe that if he doesn't watch him when asked, he won't be allowed custody. So the kid is probably better off with you all than in his mother's environment. My sister married my best friend Jamie and they had a daughter together, Rosie. Rosie was 5 when Jamie died. He was diagnosed with a heart condition months before and was in a bad way by the time diagnosis came, so they knew his death was coming but had hoped he could get a transplant in time. Jamie had no family, he was a foster kid as long as I knew him, but we became brothers through our friendship. I was closer to him than my biological brothers. When he knew no heart was coming to save him, he asked me to look out for Rosie and to be there for her in his place. He knew I adored Rosie, and he knew I would talk to Rosie about him and help her keep his memory alive. So I did. We are still close to this day. She adores my husband and me as much as we adore her. So she asked me to act as the father of the bride at her wedding. She said it would be the closest thing to having her dad there. She plans to pin a photo of him into the flowers she carries down the aisle. Where the problem comes in is her stepdad. He has been in her life since she was 6. My sister met him 10 months after Jamie died, started dating him after 6 months of knowing him, and introduced them immediately. He and my sister are not very happy that she asked me, her uncle, over her other dad, and they're unhappy with me. They say I prevented Rosie from having another dad and that my presence with Rosie and allowing her to talk so much about her dad left no room for Jamie to fill in the father role, that he's been in her life for 18 years now and it's still not enough for him to be the father of the bride. Rosie apologized to me for getting into any trouble over this. She told me she couldn't think of a living person she would have over me and that this is what she wants because her stepdad is not her dad. I told her as long as she's happy with her decision, it changes nothing for me. But her stepdad will not let up, and he told me I should be encouraging her to ask him, and that I'm disrespecting him and all he did for her, that he was there longer than Jamie and the fact he still takes priority over him to her, even in this, and that I'm going along with it, makes him angry. He called me an idiot and said I denied Rosie another father. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Her wedding, her choice. She already has a father. Her stepfather isn't her father. You've been there her whole life and obviously you've played a very important role in her life. So walk her down the aisle with pride and know her father, your best friend, is looking down and smiling. And take pride in the fact that you have and are living up to the promise you made to him. If Rosie is old enough to get married, she's old enough to make her own decisions. Please don't let their self-pity stop you from doing this. It's really awful your sister and brother-in-law wanted and still want to erase your niece's dad's memory. It's her choice. She's an adult and she doesn't consider her stepdad as her second dad. She said she considers you walking her down the aisle represents her dad being there, and it's obvious why you kept his memory alive. So please don't let her down. Let her dad be present at her wedding. A lot of these stories that talk about step-parents lamenting their relationship with their stepchildren seem to be so centered on how the step-parent views what the relationship should be. To me, it seems like the very first hurdle they need to overcome is that a birth parent should place the kids' needs above their own. I mostly ride a motorcycle, but I have a crappy Sunfire that I keep for grocery shopping or really bad weather. I was out doing my groceries and someone was parked in my driveway when I came home. It's not really that big a deal to me, so I parked behind them and I brought my stuff into the house. I watched a hockey game, then a friend invited me over, and I completely spaced. I went to my garage that faces my alley, not the driveway in front of my house, and I took off on my motorcycle. The next day I got home around noon. When I checked my mail, I saw notes in my mailbox and on my car. I trapped some poor guy in my driveway. I honestly felt bad about it, so I moved my car onto the street. My neighbour came over to yell at me for trapping her daughter's boyfriend in my driveway. I apologised and mentioned that I had been home for nearly 4 hours before I left and they could have asked me to move at any time and I would have. She said she saw me come home but didn't want to bother me until it was time for him to leave. And when they came round at 10 at night, I wasn't home and they don't have my number. I apologised again, but now I feel stupid because they were parked on my property and they chose to wait nearly 4 hours. What if I was home but asleep? I think that it was kind of an idiot move to trap the car, but it was an accident. They're jerks for not asking to get the car out as soon as I came home. Am I the idiot? Let's get over this. They parked on your driveway without permission. They didn't come for 4 hours while you were home. We didn't want to bother you is weak. They came over late at night to ask you to move. You could have been in bed. Actually, you were just out doing your thing. Then they yelled at you. Oops, I missed the punchline at the end where OP apologised. How on earth were you supposed to know whose car was parked in your driveway at your house? The dude parked in your driveway. He's lucky you didn't have it towed or something. I can't believe you apologised for parking in your own drive. You need to go to some assertiveness classes. Not the idiot, and you need to stop being a pushover. Why would you ever be an idiot for parking on your own property? If people use your stuff without even asking, they can absolutely not complain about you wanting to and actually using your very own stuff. Do you know you could have even had the car removed from your property and they would have needed to pay for it? Seriously, you have to stand up for yourself.